Hey everybody, how we doing? Doing well. Get a good night's sleep. Hopefully enough. I know we have you waking up pretty early, 9 a.m. for classes. We're gonna get started in just a few minutes, so keep doing whatever you're doing, and we'll get started soon, okay? But glad to see you're all here on time. Love that. Okay. Looks like we've got almost everyone here, I think, possibly. Maybe one person missing, but I always need to go and check and make sure I have everybody and count off how many people are here. Aha, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And that's everybody. Which it is wonderful to see all your faces again today. Welcome back. Maybe I sound a little, you can hear my voice a little easier because I have this mic next to my face today instead of far away. So hopefully you can hear me a little bit better today. How are we all doing? Feeling good? Do anything fun yesterday? Feel free to type in the chat or do little reacts. Send out some rockets. But I hope you're well. I hope everybody is doing good. I saw your collaboratories come in yesterday, I guess, on your end. And they're looking good. I'm going to be giving you guys some feedback on them today, later today, as you work on your second collaboratory, I believe, or right before, maybe during your lunch break, you'll get some feedback back. But they're looking pretty good so far. So let's go ahead and get started, okay? I'll go ahead and share my slides and we'll get this going. So today, one of my favorite classes of this boot camp because we're going to dig into debate and ethical arguments. And so today we're going to ground all the things that we've been talking about, our algorithms and our biases in reality. And the whole class will be based on that idea, on our reality. Basically, how do algorithms impact our daily lives? You might have a cell phone in front of you or in your pocket. Of course, that's one way. We have algorithms every single day on our social medias, probably, our computers, our Instagram, Kakao, Naver, all these algorithms in our daily life that we're using to get from place to place or to see social media that we like or some news that we like. And all of these are happening in our daily lives. So we'll dig into that in this class, as you likely have already done in your reflection that you guys submitted for the pre-class work, which I hope to see on Canvas. So, can I have a volunteer for this question, which is what is a real-world example of how technology and algorithms influence decision making? Or how does real-world what's a real-world example of technology and algorithms in your life? Youngse, start us off today.
Um, when you buy something on internet, when you look some stocks, the algorithm recommend us the related to that stocks. So we will buy the stocks that we look before.
Yeah, absolutely. You go to buy a stock and then you maybe click off of it before even buying it, right? And then the algorithm says, you looked at that stock. Going to suggest that you buy it over and over and over again. And that doesn't go for just stocks, right? Maybe it's for that new purse that you saw online and you went to the website and you saw, oh, that's really pretty. And then I don't have the money for that right now. And then you go off and the algorithm continues to recommend it to you through your social media feed over and over. Or maybe it was that cool hat that Gayun's wearing. Saw it online and you didn't want to buy it immediately, but then the algorithm said you have to have it. It's so cool. Nice hat. Anybody else have any examples of real world algorithms? Maybe Yunjay, any ideas of some real world algorithms?
When I see a video at YouTube, YouTube's algorithm keeps uh, suggesting similar videos.
Absolutely. Yes. And sometimes you don't want to watch the same thing over and over, right? That's a great example. Anybody else? We had targeted advertising, the social media of YouTube and the videos you watch. Any other ideas you can think of some algorithms? Have any of you applied for a job before? I don't know if it's normal to work in like your teens in South Korea, but in the US at least it is a little. So in those types of areas, companies have different algorithms that they use in the recruiting software to filter applications based on the words that you're submitting in your resume or your CV. Um, and so it can impact whether or not you actually get chosen for the job. And this will actually be probably one of the activities we work on today, maybe this job filtering. So great. Love to hear all of those responses. Thanks so much for volunteering and letting me put you on the spot because today we're going to be talking a lot about these algorithms in our daily lives. But before we move on, I want to talk about the uncertainty of many questions that we're going to have in this class. So, yesterday, when we were talking about our routes for our flood building, and there was that choice in whether we choose route one or route two. And a lot of the time, you can answer those types of questions with it depends, right? So there are lots of situations in our lives where the answer is it depends. And you'll notice that during this class that we have a lot of opportunity to answer a question with it depends. Even today, we'll have an activity that has a poll and has three answers. And one of the answers is it depends. And so I want you to know that when we're talking about this it depends, we should try and support it with it depends on something because we want to engage the subject matter and engage our brains on what does it depend on and how are we reasoning what it depends on. So know that not everything is a strict yes or no. It's not a black or white. There are many shades of gray throughout many disciplines, whether it's science, history, math, there's always debates on whether or not it's the right algorithm to work or whether or not it's the right solution in research. So know that as we go through class, it depends is a great answer, and I'd love to hear what it depends on and what you're thinking about it. So let's go ahead and get started with our learning algorithms today, or learning targets. Sorry, I said algorithms. Did I? Fun. I didn't mean that. Learning targets. So today we're going to be, oh, sorry, we're going to be talking about algorithmic thinking, ethical decision making, critical thinking, and asking the right questions. So, can anyone tell me how you think one of these concepts might be used during this class? Talking about ethical decision making and algorithmic thinking. How might one of these be used in this class? Any ideas? Let's ask Song Hwan. What do you think? Any of these learning targets do you think we're going to be using in class?
I think we can use critical thinking when we do team play.
Mm, yeah. Can we get some more? How do we think others are going to be used throughout class today? Um, maybe Songhee, what do you think?
Ethical decision making when we do some breakouts and mm,
Yeah, definitely. Songhwan, Songhee, those are great answers. This ethical decision making definitely is going to be a part of it. I mean, that's the title of the class, right? But when we think about our pre-class work, what did we read about ethics and AI, and yesterday even we did some ChatGPT and whether that has a bias in it. And so today we're going to continue that a little bit more with that ethical decision making and the critical thinking on those parts. So let's go and go to some any reading confusions. So this might be a good time to have your pre-class notes or your pre-class work handy to ask any questions you have. And so I want to open the room to just asking, do you have any questions about the readings or any confusions? Please feel free to put it in the chat. Chat away at me. You can send me a direct message on the chat about anything you were confused about from the readings. Anybody have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand. Myungse, go ahead.
Think the most important thing that we should, when you think about the artificial intelligence, is that how we regulate its um, its development by evil developer, because evil artificial intelligence can threaten us in jobs or whatever we faced in the reality. So my question is that how we overcome those what should I say, evil developer to develop bad artificial intelligence, because the government regulation, I think it has some kind of limitation in the capitalism system.
Mm. Yeah, there can be limitations in the capitalist system, but I would hope, of course, that we don't have too many evil developers developing AI. So you're right to definitely worry and question and make sure that the regulations are not too stringent, but are stringent enough so that we don't have any evil developers. Oh, it's a great word you put it, evil. Just making sure that AI is used for good, right? And so one of the videos you watched a little bit about healthcare, right? And how AI in that field can supplement human decision making and try not to replace humans in because maybe not all the time, at least not right now, it might not get everything perfectly correct. So that was great. Thanks, Yangtze. I'd love to ask you guys a question a little bit more on that is how is ethical decision making relevant to emerging technologies, not just AI, but pretty much everything else, like a self-driving car or robots in your house? How is ethical decision making relevant to all of these emergent technologies? I'll take some hands first, and then I'll call on someone, okay? Jiyoung, go ahead.
When the machine makes a mistake, um, who gets the penalty would be a problem of ethical parts.
Definitely. That's a great start there. Absolutely. When a robot makes a mistake, there's this ethical question that comes to bear, and it's who is going to take the blame for that mistake? Is it the person who wrote the algorithm? Is it the company at large? Is it the CEO of that company? Um, or is it even user error on the part of the person who maybe bought the robot and has it themselves and they used it incorrectly and got hurt? So there's a lot of ethical questions and how we deal with that in the future. So great, awesome answer there. Anybody else? How is ethical decision making relevant to emerging technologies? And maybe we'll say another question of how are algorithms involved with this ethical decision making? Building on our last two classes of algorithms and biases, how are algorithms involved with this ethical decision making process? Maybe we ask Jae-hyun. He looks very thinking. He looks like he's thinking hard on this question.
I think the, the people who develop AI should put orders about ethics in variety situations.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In a variety of situations, right? We need to, especially when we're talking about algorithms, we need to have ethical decisions in place before we even start making the algorithms so that we ensure that they're operating in a way that's fair and responsible. Because even as humans, we have biases when we are creating these algorithms. So great. Thanks, Jae-hyun. Thanks, Ji-young. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our glossary today. I believe we had a lot of things added to our glossary today. But does anyone have any words on the glossary that they wanted to go over or talk about? As a part of your pre-class work now, I think it is required for you to be putting in one word on the glossary, just to get you guys into using this glossary and creating this group document together. So every day I should come back and see a ton more. And if I think a definition is off or slightly out of place or maybe not exactly the right wording, I have been looking and trying to put in my own words or a Google definition that I think is slightly more right. So neurotechnology, I put in here that it encompasses all technologies developed to understand the brain. So maybe not technology about neuron, but the neurons are in your brain. So it was a good start, whoever put neurotechnology. But I love to see all of these. Wow, there's so many. It's great to see all of the words being put in by you guys. So before we move on, I wanted to define another term for us and talk about the word ethical. What does the word ethical mean? Because we're going to be talking about that a lot today and a little bit next week as well. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? What does the word ethical mean? Go ahead, Myung-se.
I think it is related to moral thing. So ethical means about morality.
Morality. Yes, ethical is relating to morality. And morality is just that idea of our principles and what is right and wrong, right? So, what is right and wrong in a given situation? And when we say something that maybe we say, is that ethical? And that just means, was that the right thing to do? Or is that right? Is it just? Is it fair? Is it ethical? That kind of thing. So, as we go through class today, we might ask, is that the ethical thing to do? Or is that the ethical way to build our AI? Or we'll be making decisions based on ethics and what is right and wrong. So it'll be good for us to know what ethical means. So great to have this definition in here. Does anyone have any words on here that they wanted to go over, or any words that you wanted to add as well? No? Well, I love to see all of these new words being added. I like to see neurotechnology, whoever added that one. I liked seeing it. It was great. Um, Infeasible, impossible to do. That's a good one to know for all of our future assignments. They are not infeasible, but feasible, which is the opposite of infeasible, which means it is very possible for us to do. And I hope we instill that courage inside of all of you that everything is possible. It is possible to do our assignments and get together and make our big project together. So let's go ahead and move on to our prep poll for the day. So today's prep poll is, can there ever be a case where algorithms are fair? Why or why not? Please explain in detail using a specific example. And there's definitely the case for yes and for no. So I'm hoping to get an example from both sides of this coin. But of course, if there's not, that's okay too. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and I will bring up this prep poll today. Okay, you should be able to see your prep poll now, and you'll have about 5 minutes to work on it, okay? Anybody has any questions, let me know and chat me in chat. Got about 3 minutes left, okay? Got about 1 minute left, but we can take a little extra time if not everyone is finished, so that's okay. Okay, great job, everybody. Thanks so much for writing in the polls. I'm going to go ahead and end it now. It looks like everyone has finished, which is great. Okay, so now you should be able to see your answer to the poll. So make sure not to press the X on that because you might need it. And I'd love to get checks and X's again from you guys, just like yesterday, and ask, can there ever be a case where algorithms are fair? Yes or no, based on how you responded to your poll, so that I can see, do we think yes? Do we think no? Maybe people said it depends, but if you said it depends, feel free to pick one more, one or other side. So love to see checks and X's from everybody. If you don't remember where those were, they're in the React button at the bottom of Zoom, and you can press the check or the X, yes or the no button. And you can even tell me, Professor, slow down. I'm going too fast. If you ever need that. Awesome. Okay, great. Looks like we're getting a good amount of yeses and nos. I love to see it. So I'm gonna go to someone who has said yes so far. So maybe we start with Gahyun and ask why do you think, or can there be a case that algorithms are fair? You answered yes. So tell us why, or tell us an example.
I think algorithms can be fair when they are dealing with historical issue because history historical data is uh, already historical data already existed.
Yeah, historical data, since it already exists, we're not using any new data. Maybe it's easier to be fair in that way because it already exists. Yes? Yeah, I could say that. We'd still always have to be careful of our own human biases, even when we're talking about history, and just thinking about our feelings toward history, because the way people conquered or won a war or did something in the past can influence the way we think about it today. So maybe we think of some Japanese people as not nice because they colonized South Korea at one point, right? And so we need to be very cognizant and aware of how we think about that historical idea when we're creating an algorithm like that. So hopefully it's fair, but we still need to be careful. So let's go to one of the people who said no about this. Maybe Do Yoon. What do you think? Why not?
I think that algorithm gets information from what humans wrote, so it can't be fair always. Yeah,
Okay. And why do you think it cannot be fair always? What's wrong with humans?
because humans have emotions and biases, so they can't be 100% fair.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I get that 100%. Just like I was telling Gahyun, well, we have to be to make anything fair, we need to worry about those biases and those emotions that we're feeling. And so we'd hope that the answer would be yes, but a lot of the times the answer is no, that it cannot be entirely fair, because they're trained on human biases and many historical inequalities. So a lot of the time we have to be very aware of our biases and that kind of idea. So one question I might give you is, what's the importance of having multiple people when training an algorithm, or what's the benefit of having many people when making an algorithm? Maybe Sokyun, what's the benefit of having many people when you're making an algorithm?
Uh, reflect people's reflect various people's view.
Yeah, and why might that be important, having multiple viewpoints?
Because or do not have bias for uh,
You're doing great. This is great. Yeah, absolutely. This not having bias, when you have multiple viewpoints, it's easier to hopefully be able to see each other's biases. You look at the way other people are thinking, and especially if we have diverse viewpoints, people from many different backgrounds. Yesterday, how we talked about biases can be based on an ethnicity or even a socioeconomic status or the hometown that you grew up in. And so, Seokhyun, you're definitely right. Having someone who is poor, rich, middle class, maybe having all three together in a room creating an algorithm will hopefully allow them to see each other's biases and make an algorithm that's more fair, right? And so hopefully that algorithm that we are making can be fair and side with the yeses, right? We had a lot of them. So always good to see. Great. Thanks everybody for those great answers there. I will stop sharing your answers and we can move on to our first activity of the day. So just sharing slides real quick to start our activity. We're going to move into it. And in this activity, we'll first have a short poll for you guys to respond to. And then we're going to have a little debate. And we're going to discuss our answers to the poll and the ethics of our choices for a specific case. So let's move into it. As we go through the poll, and afterwards, when we finish the poll, we're going to be listening to our fellow classmates and how they answer and be ready to counter the way they think. So I'll try to remind you of all the counters as we go through it. So I'll stop sharing and we'll do a simple poll. And this poll is, should self-driving cars prioritize the safety of the passengers over the pedestrians in the event of a potential crash? What do we think? Give you maybe 2 minutes. Got about a minute left. If anyone hasn't answered, which we almost have everyone here. I heard Hayum left. Hope she's okay. Okay. Wow, this is going to be a fun debate. It looks like everybody has answered now, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll in three, two, one. And when I share those results, can you see all of the answers? Is that right? You can see that we have a very divided class, which is always very fun for a debate, right? So let's go ahead and get started on this fun debate. I'd love to hear from someone who said passenger safety first. So a lot of volunteers here because I actually don't know who submitted which poll answer, but I'm definitely going to come to each group. So if you have an opinion about it, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, I might make us do some checks, X's, and a slow down or something like that to know who did what poll answer. And then I can call on you. But would love a volunteer from our passenger safety first. I know there's 6 of you in here who voted passenger safety first. I'll wait for a volunteer. Tell us why you think passenger safety first matters. Songhee, go ahead.
think the self-driving cars prioritize the safety of passengers because it's a car and it's a product from the company, and the car the in company's side, the car have to be sold lot of amount, and if the car is not protecting passengers, the cars never anyone never buy the car.
Yeah, I can see your line
Mhm.
of thinking very well here, right? If the car is not protecting the passenger, then it won't sell well.
Yeah.
And so for the company especially, the self-driving car should prioritize the passenger so that they can
Yeah.
sell more cars. Nice. That's good. This is a great thought line. I like it. It definitely is on a certain side of this issue for sure. So Sungmin, did you say the same thing or did you say something different?
Uh, I I think the passenger is self cars, self-driving cars are client. So I think passenger prioritize the first safety person.
Yeah. So you said the same thing, yeah? That they should do the passenger. I want to hear from someone who thinks different, thinks that it's not good for the passengers, and talk about the company and respond to Sung Hee's point about the cars manufacturing. So, who did not say passenger safety? Which I know there's 11 of you who did not say passenger safety. So, who said pedestrian safety first? Maybe we can hear from one of you and say why pedestrian safety over passenger safety. Yunjae, go ahead.
Um, a, dri a driver's job is to protect pedestrians at all costs, no matter what the pedestrian is doing. And if self-driving cars prioritize passenger safety first, then it would make lots of mistakes because a passenger has more chance to survive than a pedestrian in a crash. And
Oh,
I think self-driving cars are a sort of a driver, so I think it should mm, keep the job of a driver. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great thought chain there. That the self-driving car is a driver itself, and drivers should follow the laws of the road and think of pedestrians over the car, protect the pedestrian first before protecting the passengers in the car because a driver already has a good chance of survival inside of the car if they hit a pedestrian. And so if they hit the pedestrian, what's going to happen to the pedestrian is more likely going to be very bad comparative to the person in the car. So what do we think about that, class? Do we think that's the right idea, the wrong idea? Do we think Yunjae is on the right track, or maybe we hear from somebody that says it depends and get their opinions? Aha, we got two. Myungsei, go first, and then Jiyoung after.
I think in the car accident, we should consider injury that are expected. So if the pedestrian, if the injury of passenger are very serious than the pedestrian, the car should protect the passenger than the pedestrian. But opposite is same. So I think it depends on the injury that are expected.
Oh, that's so interesting. That is so interesting to think about. And like in any given situation, think what are the expected injuries that are going to happen? Wow. You'll have to design a very good algorithm for that, I think. Yeah? A very good algorithm that can say, oh, pedestrian's coming towards me, or pedestrian just ran out in front of a car, right? How can we protect which one more based on what do you think is going to happen? So that's very, very interesting. And it brings into question this idea of what is a pedestrian? Um, and whether or not an animal can be a pedestrian or if it's just humans, right? And so what if a dog runs out in front of the car? Do we make the same sort of algorithm for dogs and rabbits and squirrels and deer and moose when they run out in front of the car versus a human that's running out in front of the car? That's an interesting question. But we'll go to Jiyoung first and hear what she said.
I actually think that both sides that um who thinks that passengers should be prioritized and pedestrians should be prioritized is all valid, but and in a basic ethical viewpoint, I think both safety should be considered. And in most cases, I think that passenger safety should be prioritized because, as Sungi said, the car is passenger's car. But even if it is passenger's car, not always not considering the pedestrian's safety is not doesn't make sense. So I think that in most cases, just um prioritizing the passenger safety most and considering both sides is good idea.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. Yeah, making sure to consider both sides first, and then hopping on Sung Hee's point of the passenger does deserve safety because the car is designed for them, right? Um, but maybe we take a step back and think, what if it was you who is the pedestrian on the road, and maybe the car is not programmed very well? What if the algorithm is bad? And we hope that it would stop for you if you are crossing the street, yeah? Otherwise, what do we think? If the self-driving car hits a person, is it likely that the person in the car will get hurt at all? Yes or no? I got a yes from Young Say. When they hit a person, the person inside the car will get hurt. And do we think that the person outside the car will be hurt less or more than the person inside of the car? Possibly more, maybe less, depending on how quickly the car can stop, right? Maybe it's a little bump, maybe it's not. But it brings me back to the question of what do you consider a pedestrian? What counts as a pedestrian? Uh, Heon, what do you think? Do we think animals should be considered in the algorithm of this self-driving car or just humans?
I think animals should considered too,
Huh.
because animal is also have to save as human too.
Yeah, yeah. Animals have a life as well. And so, Sujin, how would we value that animal in this same problem? Would we still say passenger safety first, or would we consider changing our answer to pedestrian safety first if there's animals involved? Or maybe you already picked pedestrian safety first. So you can tell us a little more about that if you chose that answer. So what do you think with this new idea of pedestrians including animals?
I chose passenger safety first. If animal is also a pedestrian, mm, I think I don't change my opinion because uh, people is always thinking they're first on any
Mm.
many situation. So when we think about this, it also um, many people think that people is first more than animals.
Yeah, yeah, maybe putting people on a slightly higher pedestal in the algorithm than animals, but still thinking they're both are nice to make sure we do an algorithm for. But you're still on the side of passenger safety, yes? Yes, maybe. Yes. Okay. Thanks for the nod. That's what I needed. Okay. Anybody else want to talk a little bit about what the answer they chose, um, and why? Other than these? But otherwise, I think we had a great discussion on this, and it's a great example of the it depends. We had a few. We had actually had six people choose it depends. We only heard from two of them, but there are many ways to create this algorithm. And even in that it depends, we had people on the passenger safety side slightly more than the pedestrian safety side, and maybe people on the pedestrian safety side, but making sure that the person in the car is still safe in some way. Um, Making, maybe if a person runs into the street, make sure that they don't drive into a building and hurt themselves. Like maybe making them stop hard instead of that. Um, or if they're going to hurt the person, stopping as quickly as possible. So, tons of it depends here in this answer, and you guys did a great job of navigating that. So, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And we're going to continue exploring this idea of ethical reasoning and ethical dilemmas in your breakouts today in just a little bit. But first, we're going to do a little iRest break. So we're going to do another iRest break just like yesterday, where we did cameras off. I played a little bit of music, and yeah, we'll come back in about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, everybody, let's come on back now. Come on back to the screens. Welcome back from our little eye rest break. Hope you're rejuvenated. Got to talk to the people beside you again. We stretched a little bit because these days we're looking at screens for a long time today and most of the days. So, great. Looks like we have everyone back now. So, we're going to go ahead and move into our breakout rooms. So, in the rooms, you'll be assigned a scenario about an ethical dilemma, and you're going to work together to understand that dilemma from an algorithmic perspective. And then you're going to propose ways that you might make it fairer for everyone involved. So, just like we asked in our first question today, can an algorithm be fair? And today we're going to try and make a fair algorithm or make an algorithm fair for people involved. So let's go ahead. I'll stop sharing my screen and then I'll grab those breakout groups and do what we did yesterday where I put them in chat. Okay, just give me one moment here to put these into chat. Got groups 1 and 2 and groups 3 and 4 and groups 5 and 6. So let me go ahead and send you into your breakouts. And you'll have about 20, 25 minutes to do this um, task set before you. And if you have any questions, at the bottom of the Zoom, there will be a little help button. But I'll, of course, be checking in on you guys. And then as a reminder, please write your names at the top of the document so that I can see who is working on it. That'll be great. Okay, I'll see you on the other side. For our YouTube audience, they're now going into breakouts for about 20 minutes. They're dealing with an ethical dilemma. So that's pretty much it. And I will be checking on them every 10-ish minutes or so just to check that they're working and doing okay. That's pretty much it. So go ahead and take a 20-minute break if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, so we're closing the breakout rooms now. Hi, Jiyoung. Welcome back. Did you have fun? Yes, I hope so. Everybody's gonna come back now. Everybody's piling back into our regular rooms. No breakout rooms anymore. Awesome. Yes, turning our cameras back on so I can see your smiling faces on screen. Wonderful. Great. Okay, I think that's everybody. So, welcome back. We're gonna go and debrief by having some presentations from our wonderful groups. I was reading through some of your presentations and saw some interesting approaches to dealing with these algorithms. So I thought I'd have some of the most interesting ones or the most different takes on it present their their group solution to making things fairer. But as you're listening, the non-presenting groups, be ready to ask questions, right? Um, and I might call on you to ask if you think they did a good job of making it fair and whether or not you would have done something different in your group. And before we get started, just so you know, each group, there were three different scenarios presented to us. So when you present, make sure to give a short explanation of your scenario, explain your analysis, and then offer your proposed solution. Okay, so whoops, let's go to, I believe it was group two that I wanted to hear from here. So let's see, who was in group two? That was Ihyun, Jiwon, and Sukyun. Yeah, right here. Um, so I'm gonna scroll down to the bottom here because I think that's where you put all your stuff. And I'd love to have one of you present to us your scenario and then how you guys tackled that scenario. So who's gonna do it? Do we got Ihyun, Jiwon, or Sukyun? I know you all are capable of doing it. So, Jiwon, you want to start us off or
Uh, we thought algorithm can make people focus on only one topic or summary so they can trapped in only their own sites. So we think platform should uh, pri- prioritize content that diversify the feed. Mm.
Mm. And we're talking about social media feeds for everyone else. Um, great. So, how are we going to diversify it? Let's hear from Ihyun. What did you guys propose for getting this done and helping people on the algorithms? You guys wrote a lot of good stuff. I liked it. So, maybe Ihyun or Sokyeon, you want to help us out?
I think we can show opposite opinions that people cannot see only one side, so they can diversify their thoughts and think about lots of things.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I agree. Having a diverse feed, so not just one side of a news spectrum or one side of a topic or a problem, um, can help basically just sort of get rid of biases in your own little box, right? Just how we talked about yesterday about getting out of our box, going away from confirmation bias specifically, right? And so this group had social media feeds, and it was the question of how do we show people things on the social media feed? What algorithm do we use? Do we show them what they like, or do we show them diverse things? So it looks like Ihyun and Jiwon and Seokyeon chose diverse feeds, showing them diverse feeds, so that they don't have a one-sided decision-making progress. So every process, so that everyone on the algorithms can see things differently. So group one, do you think this was a good way to make this fair? You guys had the same problem, which was these social media feeds. So I'd love to hear if you guys did the same thing or if you thought this was a good way to do it. Uh, maybe Sungmin.
Yeah, our group, I think that the platform should uh, prioritize the contents that with aligns with customers. So so
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. So that's different. They chose the opposite. So group one, maybe Sungmin, you can keep going and tell us why you chose that versus the diverse feeds.
if it prioritize contents that aligns with user interested in, it can increase the use of the platform and give users more interest. And algorithms decision can lead to uh, extreme thinking and actions.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
so making them want to use it more by giving them things that aligns with them, yeah? Very interesting. If you give them content that aligns with their likes, they'll use the app more. So, very interesting. I like to hear it. Different takes on this one problem. Anything else, group one, that you want to talk about before we go to another group? Nope. Okay, let's go to group three. So let's just give a small scenario update. So group three and group four had an online job application system that filters candidates based on keywords. They had to decide should it prioritize relevant experience only or include factors that promote diversity. So let's go to group three. They had some cool percentages here, and I thought, oh, that's going to be a fun explanation. So I'd love to hear from someone in group three about what you decided. Should we be relevant experience or factors that promote diversity? And how did you handle making it fair? Maybe Jae Young?
네, our team choose promote the diversity um, because this algorithm's problem is that only those with experience have an advantage over those who are not. So uh, those who don't hard to get an opportunity. So our improved version is certain percentage, example 40%, are allowed to select people who don't have experience. And the company should have a program to teach those who aren't experienced. The other 60% should be selected with those who are experienced, because if we do a 100% with those who are not experienced, the others would have a reverse discrimination. So this version can make some fairness higher.
Nice. 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 I love how you have made it sort of fair for everyone involved by allocating certain percentages and also training those who aren't as experienced. So giving people who aren't as experienced a little leg up. But I go to group 4 and ask, do you think this is the fairest way to do it, or was there a different way that you thought of doing this? So, group 4, what do you think? Maybe Sunghee or Yuna, whichever one.
I think it is fair to have a system with percentage of non-experienced and more experienced.
Okay. And how did you guys end up doing it? Was it different or similar? Yuna, go ahead.
Our team has a decision about getting a chance for fair race, and I think that group three's idea is kind of a program to get a job fairly, but it has some difficulty because in my experience, when I get a job in Alabama, the Korean job get for getting job for program for getting a job, then the job is only searching for one person or very small amount of people, so we just can't divide the people to 40%, 60%. So it can be conducted the properly way. So I think that we should program the algorithm for valuing the capabilities more than the experience to give a chance for non-experienced workers.
Nice. Yeah, I can see how that's different, especially when you're hiring for one worker, right? Just how you said, when you're hiring for one, there's no real 40, 60%, right? Because you can't split a person in half. But I also see group 3, if you're hiring like uh, 10 teachers to teach awesome South Korean students like you all, then maybe you can do 40% and 60%. But if you're only hiring one engineer and coder, maybe having a test of some sort to see whether or not they have the capabilities and not going off of their just experience in coding in the past. So I really love that you guys both thought of totally different ways to make this system fair for specific scenarios. So really awesome. Great job, both groups. Love that. And now I think we're going to go to group 6. Let me see. Yes, group 6, Hyun and Sujin, and ask you about this one. And so this scenario was a credit scoring algorithm predicts loan eligibility. Should it consider location-based data, knowing it may correlate with socioeconomic factors? Slightly hard question there, right? A lot of big words. Fun times, and credit scoring algorithms are very interesting. So, would love to hear from Group 6 about this. So, anyone want to present what you guys chose as your solution?
We think that algorithm should consider many data, including location-based data, because location-based data is also important data, so we should not accept it.
So we shouldn't accept location data because it's too personal, or we should. Sorry. Yes or no?
Uh,
No.
uh, we should consider also. Yeah.
Uh, okay. Cool. Fairness and making sure personal biases don't come into play there. So the location-based data is more factual than um, something else. Yes? So group five, what did you guys to make it slightly more fair? Do you think this was a good way to do it, or how did you guys do it to make it more fair? Let's see. Um, Jiyoung.
Yes.
Ah,
We thought that location information could be a factor to predict the loan eligibility, but we if we only predict with the location factor, it the fairness could be the fairness could be damaged. So we, as a solution, we thought that we should consider other factors as well, such as like the person's past loan eligibility or what the person's job is.
yeah, I see. So maybe including more than just one data point. Yeah, that's a good way to make it fair. Nice. Okay. Awesome. Great job, everybody. These are some great answers, and I love seeing the creativity in how we are making algorithms more fair. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our final little bit of the day. Just a little summary from someone in class. So, I'd love it if I could have one person or two people share what they learned from the session today, or just summarize it in a nice bow for all of us. Would anyone be willing to do that for me? A brave soul out there with a hand raised. Youngsei.
We learned how to make ethical decision to when you consider, especially in artificial intelligence area, and we um, we learned and also the critical thinking to make ethical decision by using the realistic examples like the loan or cars or internet, and so on.
Great. Nice tying it up in a big old bow for all of us, bringing it all together. Thanks for doing that for me. That's great. So, today in your collaboratories, you're going to be analyzing a facial recognition scenario where the AI is accused of biases in public safety applications. And so you'll be working in assigned roles that you give to each other. There will be a data scientist, an ethicist, a product manager, a legal advisor, and a public relations specialist. And you'll be proposing ethical adjustments to improve the system's fairness and transparency. So, if you have any questions about it, please do let me know. And as a reminder, I sent out a little announcement on Canvas, but if you could submit your collaboratory documents as a PDF instead of a Word doc, it's just slightly easier for me to grade it, and that would be wonderful. But otherwise, just another reminder that throughout these classes, it's really great to hear you guys debating and talking about each other's work because there are so many answers to just one specific question, right? And so we're in this active learning environment where the answer a lot of the times is it depends. And just like those algorithms and those ethical situations that we just put ourselves in, there are multiple ways to answer a problem in all of the disciplines that we're going to be learning about throughout college and throughout this inner college boot camp. So that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and show you your collaboratory here. So you should be able to see your collaboratory groups, which you'll see again is very similar. It has the same beginning page, but a little different. And then you'll go through and you'll copy this a worksheet. Um, and yeah, just if you could submit it as a PDF, that would be great. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Also, one other thing I forgot to mention is that I believe you should come to office hours for the first 10 to 15 minutes, or if you have any questions, you should come to office hours. I believe it might be required now to come to office hours, and we can go through these collaboratory instructions together so that we're all on the same page. But you guys are doing great, and I'm so excited for the rest of this class with you all. So, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to stay after class and let me know. But otherwise, I will see you later or tomorrow. Bye bye. And that's it for this class. So, we've got about 15 minutes left, which is great. We usually leave about 15 minutes. To our YouTube crew, thanks for watching. See you in another